Danger, Will Robinson. Are robots capable of racism and sexism? Well, according to a new study, yes, they are, sort of. You have to say this about the current decade we live in. Never before in the history of peoplekind have there been so many accusations pertaining to racism and sexism. Everything is racist, everything is sexist, hence the ghastly word peoplekind replacing mankind, well, at least in the biosphere of the bizarre that is Justin Trudeau's brain. But within the realm of the cold, calculated world of artificial intelligence, surely there can be no such thing as racism and sexism, for these are human character flaws, correct? Well, apparently not, because in what is being billed as a shocking new study, and those are my favorite kinds of studies, folks, because who wants to read a boring old study? Anyway, this study reveals that robots can develop prejudices that resemble racism and sexism all on their own. Here's the dealio. According to a study published in Scientific Reports, artificial intelligence experts performed thousands of simulations on robot brains, revealing how they split off into groups and treat outsiders differently. Computer scientists and psychologists from Cardiff University and MIT teamed up to test how robots identify each other, but they also tested how they copy and learn behaviors from each other too. And lo and behold, some robots decided to shun other robots. And when you think about it, the study kind of validates the argument that humans, through our own biology, are predisposed to at least treating outsiders differently. The drivers for this can indeed be race, skin color, sex, essentially any identifier that marks the other party as being different. Indeed, that was the finding presented in a 2015 Arizona State University study. Researchers contended that because human survival was based on group living, outsiders were viewed as, and often were, very real threats. A report on this study published in Science Daily noted that contrary to what most people believe, the tendency to be prejudiced is a form of common sense, hardwired into the human brain through evolution as an adaptive response to protect our prehistoric ancestors from danger. I guess the whole idea of AI mimicking human behavior shouldn't really come as a surprise. The whole point of artificial intelligence is that it's supposed to mirror the learning and processing components of a human brain. So when it comes to robot bigotry, if you will, the driver isn't really based on race or sex, given that there's no such thing yet as black and white robots and male and female robots. Rather, it's the finding that robots can actually exhibit prejudice that's similar to racism and sexism when it comes to the exclusion of other robots, which again is their way of aping human behavior. It's also fascinating and makes me fret that we are perhaps ever so closer to the day when Skynet takes over and employs a legion of Terminators to rid the planet of vermin, which would be us, of course. Let's all collectively hope that the AI of the future won't embrace that other awful human character flaw, that which is known as genocide. Say, speaking of robots and pop culture, perhaps one takeaway from this study is that the screenplay writers of yesterdecade were way, way ahead of the curve when it came to examples of robots actually displaying sexism. Case in point, the robot Tweaky from one of the most cosmically horrible sci-fi TV shows of all time, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century.
Booty, something from the bar, sir?
Hold the phone.
Nothing for me, thanks.
Booty. Booty.
Tweaky, where are you going?
Don't ask.
You know, Tweaky is what killed my suspension of disbelief when it came to buying into the premise of that particular TV series. Think about it. Robots in the 25th century are capable of mobility and cognitive thought, and yet they suffer from stuttering. Like, beady, 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 what the hell, Buck? But I digress, for clearly Tweaky was sexually harassing that poor waitress robot. I guess the Me Too movement is but a distant memory in the year 2418. Speaking of cheesy, what about the robot Hector in the 1980 movie Saturn III? Hector spends virtually the whole movie apparently trying to have Congress with Farrah Fawcett Majors, which admittedly most real males dreamed of doing back in 1982. Hey Hector, what part of no means no do you not understand? I mean, who was playing Hector in this flick anyways? Harvey Weinstein? Finally, Android aficionados, set your phasers on fun, for even Star Trek's Commander Data violated Starfleet HR policy to get intimate with another Enterprise crew member.
What I want now is gentleness, and joy, and love. From you, Data, you are fully functional, aren't you?
Of course, but
How fully?
in every way, of course. I am programmed in multiple techniques. A broad variety of pleasuring.
So in the final analysis, I suppose, one can only wonder if the various human rights commissions and tribunals of the future will expand their bailiwicks to include complaints against non-humans. If AI can indeed mimic our bad behavior, it stands to reason that even gizmos need to be reprimanded too. Hey, anything to grow the bureaucracy, right? Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto, indeed. For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, the Rebel has a new app. Please download that app and take the Rebel with you wherever you go.